This is my Hopkins and Allen 22 falling block with an octagon barrel. It is definitely 22 rimfire. Some of these were made in 32 rimfire. A lot of these were built in the early 1900s by Hopkins and Allen, and then also Stevens. This one is definitely a Hopkins and Allen. It says it right on the top of the barrel here. I believe that this was manufactured probably before 1896 because Hopkins and Allen Company was formed around 1860 some, and they changed their name to Hopkins and Allen Arms Company in 1896. This particular rifle that I have here says Hopkins and Allen Manufacturing Company, MANF, and it does have the 22RF right here. It looks, well, that I want to explain the stock here first before I go on. I did take out the top of the screw right there, the one at the end of the tang, and I removed the one below the on the bottom tang. I just wanted to show you what happens with these old falling blocks. They weren't properly made for the support of how thin this stock is right here, and this is a pretty heavy receiver with the falling block and the lever. So in time, as you could see right here along the edge of the tang, see how I move it? And like, I mean, if I had it screwed, it wouldn't move like that, but it would still be a gap. It won't be flush to the tang. So if I squeeze both of these together, hold on, there. So if I squeeze them together, as you could see, there's not much of a gap from the buttstock to the tang. So if I let it go, you could see there's a big gap. And that happens. So if you find one of these and you see that, I just want to, so you remove the two screws, which right there, the one on the top of the tang and the one at the bottom, and then just slide it. Now I did fix this last year once, but I didn't fix the middle because I just was lazy, I guess. But what happened originally is that it's spread apart right here. See how thin this is on each side? It's very thin against this piece of wood here. So I took a hacksaw and I just slightly hacksawed it all the way down. So I didn't want to break this apart, this piece. I just made it enough to where 1/8 of an inch gap went all the way inside here. And then I filled it with a 2-part putty paste and then put it in with like a utility knife or some type of thin blade. I put all the paste inside of the gap, and then I squeezed it shut with a vice grip, with a hand vice grip. And that secured that because this was coming apart right there. But what's happening now, there's a crack all the way up the center, see? If you turn it over, you could see that crack all the way up to the center there. So, and it goes all the way through. See right there? It's right there, and it's spreading this whole thing open. As you can see the gap. See the gap right there? So you could actually pull that open. So what I'm going to do is take my hacksaw blade and run it all the way down until I open that gap up even a little more than what it is. So give it a good 1/8 inch clearance from side to side. And then when I clean that out really well, what I'll do is I'll fill that with epoxy, and then I'll squeeze it together. Watch how I squeeze it together. See? And it just comes right together. Just like that. See how that's nice and tight? And I'll take my hand vice grip and then just overnight and then let that dry. So when that dries, this won't come apart. But see how I let it go now? And it's coming apart. Well, if I take that epoxy and put it inside there and make that gap all the way down, it's going to secure that tight. So this thing would be super tight together like that, and there's no gap in between. And a lot of times, you know, they get chipped up at the back of the tang there. See a couple little chips there. Sometimes I've seen them where this thing cracked all the way down. But that will fix that problem. And it'll be nice and tight. So then what you could do, after the glue hardens, the epoxy, just stick it right back on. Let's see if I can get this thing. And then just stick it right back on, right? And then it would be nice and tight. This thing would be it would look properly against the tang after you put your screws in. And don't over tighten those screws, because it goes into the wood there on the stock. And just make sure that your screw holes are not stripped. Alright, so here's the takedown, and you just undo that screw there. There, see? You just keep winding that screw out, and the barrel and the forearm will just come right off of the receiver, which is very simple. Saddle ring. So if you wanted to put I don't know if I could do this in one hand, but if you want to put a 22 in there, you just push the lever forward, as you can see, and it drops the falling block right down, right there, and then you just put your 22 single shot or 22 bullet in there, and then you just bring that back like that, and the block comes right up, and then you just pull the hammer back and you shoot it. These things are really, really accurate. Super, super accurate. I mean, it's amazing. I love this old rifle, but I really believe that it's, sorry about the shaking camera, I really believe that it's made before 1896, because a lot of the Stevens were the junior models, 922s, but like I said, this was made by Hopkins and Allen. And again, it does not have the Hopkins and Allen Arms Manufacturing Company on there, and that's when they changed their name to after 1896 and after. So there you go. If it can only talk, and here's the butt plate. So it has the brass butt plate on the back, which is cool. I'm not gonna clean it up because I like the patina on it and everything. It's just a pretty antique 22, which is still completely functional, as long as I keep this stock secured and vice grip that with some 2-part epoxy and put that back nice. This thing will work for another 100 years. What I did wanted to mention, if you did strip the screw holes, because all they are is flathead wood screws. They don't have a point on them, of course. That's all they are. Is that what you could do is take a little piece of dowel, whatever the size hole is, drill that out a little bit, just ream it out enough to where it goes down to where it stops. Don't go through the stock, of course. And then cut a little piece of dowel, glue it in there, and put it and flush it right up against this, and do that for both sides, so that now you have a new piece of wood to screw in. And then just pre-drill the wood with an 1/8 inch drill bit, or even a little bit bigger, like a little bit less than the width of these screws, and then you'll have a new wood to screw in there. As long as if they are stripped, you could do that, but make sure you pre-drill it, and make sure you glue a little piece of wood dowel, just a little, almost as tight as that hole. It's not hard to do. So there you go. I love the little nicks and marks on it, and like I said, it looks like maybe somebody did the check ring on but who knows? Who knows? And here's the inside. I need to really clean the inside anyhow. I gotta clean this up better than what it is. But I'm not gonna clean this patina off, just the inside. And then keep the falling block kind of lightly oiled. So there you go. Pretty nice, pretty neat old 22, I love shooting CB caps in them. CB caps are really cool shooting in these things.